Hey cat, you awake? Guess not. Okay, so welcome to the office. So some of you have seen this space before. It's featured in some of my previous videos. We've done a little bit of changes in here, so it's a little bit different to what it previously was. Changed some of the layout, moved bookshelf around. Yeah, kind of neatened this wall up a little bit, which is nice. But there's a lot of work still to do in the office, some stuff I want to do. One thing is, so this is my desk where I do my day job, and I have another bench over here where I do a lot of project work. As you can see, this is an absolute mess. But the first thing I need to tackle are these IKEA rolling trolley things. They're great, but there's one key problem with them, and that is, you may notice here beside the desk, they're too tall to slide neatly under kind of an average size desk. So I'm getting a new desk which is going to fill this entire gap here, and I want these trolleys to be able to roll underneath it to store. So I have a plan. Basically, these caster wheels add a lot of height to these that they doesn't really need. So I'm going to modify them. Basically going to do something like create a little outrigger piece that sort of screws onto the side of it, and then the wheels can screw into that, and then that'll bring it much closer to the ground. Should give me just about enough clearance to make it fit underneath my new desk. This desk is going away. It would never fit under these because of the little detaily archy bits on it, but the new desk won't have those, so it should fit just about. Should also fit underneath this table here. And yeah, there's a lot more cleanup and hidden garbage that needs to be disposed of. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to modify these things anyway. And yeah, see how we go. Might not work out, but I think it should work fine.
First part of this was all pretty straightforward, just really taking off the wheels and then spending a lot of time looking at it to try and figure out if there was some obvious way that jumped out to me to put it together. I cropped that out here because that's not exactly interesting to look at, but yeah, I spent a lot of time just kind of looking at it, moving around on the bench to see what kind of jumped out at me. Eventually, after enough looking at it, I figured out what I wanted to do with it. Simple enough. I decided to go with this sort of outrigger design. So basically needed to cut two strips of wood, which I was then going to angle up against each other, bit of wood glue, some nails, put it together. That was it really. Last piece I needed to do to make this work was to drill some holes in the metal side of this. Again, pretty simple, just had to center punch and then drill the holes in it. You'll see later on that I don't actually end up using this in the end. A little bit of a spoiler. So yeah, it's a shame I did this because now there's some holes in the side of one of these, but I mean, it's barely noticeable. Not really making any much of a difference really. Alright, we made some progress. So we have our little tray. I took it out of the stand to make it easier to work on. Got some holes drilled in there. So those holes are going to be for screws to pass through to mount onto this little guy here. So it'll be something like this when it's done. And the wheels are going to screw through onto this. And that'll basically lift, lower the whole thing down. Wheels will be up above where they used to be. And yeah, we'll see how much clearance that gives us. I may need to rework this thing, give me some better clearance, but anyway, we'll see. Not sure if it'll work, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to do this one first, and then we'll see what happens with the second one. So, who knows. Back to it. Alright, this is what we got. See, we have this sort of outrigger now. Other one's not done yet, but basically it's something like that. And literally, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, what if I move this to be like that? I'd still save myself space, and it would be neater as well.
So I think I'm going to unscrew it, flip it around, and see does that actually work. Because that could work really, really well. So, see what happens.
So I realize I completely overcomplicated this thing. It's a few days later, I haven't had time to work on it. But I realized after my little prototype that I was doing something totally silly. So this is what I had. This thing with the arms coming out. I don't need to do that. I have this mesh bottom. So my first thought was, well, can I just put the wheels straight into this? And then that'll kind of do the job. But it's a bit kind of springy. So I don't trust the rigidity of it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to cut a piece of plywood that'll fit inside this, and then drill some holes and just bolt it all the way through. So the plywood is just going to be a rigidity thing for this mesh because I don't trust its structural integrity. And aside from that, that'll do it. And also it'll save me like 12 mil because the plywood will be on the inside as opposed to the outside. So I'm going to do that and see how that works out. I don't know why I didn't think of that from the start, but yeah, let's try that. I think it's going to be better and simpler. And I think it's going to work. And also it'll save me some height, which is always good. So I'm going to try it, see what happens. Okay, so my camera died, unfortunately, so you missed all of the making of that thing. But I will make a second one because I have two of these trolleys that I want to mod. So I'll show you guys how I made it in the second one. But for the first one, I just wanted to show you the difference in height now between these two trolleys. So the original one is behind there, and you can see wheels on the bottom, and that's the kind of height. It doesn't really fit under the table. And then the second one, so there's a piece of board inside there, and you can see the wheels are now tucked right in underneath, and side by side there's a huge height difference. So I'm really happy with that. It still doesn't quite fit underneath this table, but that's okay. It doesn't have to fit under this table. The new desk I have should fit under. Hey cat, you like it? Yeah, she's just wondering what I'm doing. But anyway, should fit underneath the new desk, so I'm really happy with that. But anyway, this little piece, I'm gonna make another one for the second, so you can see how I made it that time. I'll make sure my camera has lots of battery for that.
Because this is the second one I made, I have the advantage of having the first one as a template. First one took a little bit longer to make because I had to measure out the spaces to fit and then sort of freehand the curves in. Second one, just copy the template, and then that's all I need to cut out. None of this is critical either. As long as it fits, that's all that really matters. I just wanted to make it look kind of nice. I mean, I cut it out by hand on a jigsaw, so not exactly perfect anyway, but you know, as long as it's got some rounded corners and not full of splinters, that's all that really matters. So cutting out the shape is pretty trivial, and I'm also not putting a huge amount of care or attention to detail into following the lines or getting the curves right. It doesn't really matter, like I said before, as long as it kind of looks okay and isn't full of splinters, that's all I really care about. So yeah, just quick and dirty job, just make sure it will fit and make sure that it doesn't look completely terrible. So really the hardest part of this whole thing was the final fit. So I knew the piece would fit roughly in there. I cut it a little bit undersized so that it wouldn't I wouldn't have to worry about getting the fit exactly right. But the tricky part was I needed to make sure that the holes were far enough in so that the wheels wouldn't really clock off the frame. But what was happening was, as I was drilling the holes, so drilling the holes in the wood is fine. I kind of measured that out roughly. Was able to use the Forstner bit to countersink the bolt head a little bit, and then drill all the way through. The hard part was getting the holes to line up and drill through the mesh without the whole thing shifting around, especially for the very first one. So you'll see I mess around with trying to clamp it and then just sort of holding it in place as tightly as I can. And the trick that I found was, this is what I found with the first one, was if you drill the first hole, that's fine. Screw the caster in and bolt it down into place as tightly as you can, and then add one more each time you drill a hole, so that the whole thing, as you're drilling holes, it becomes more rigid and it's less likely to move around. It means that you can widen the holes with the step drill bit a little bit easier. Also, step drill, really good here. Excellent for sheet metal and excellent for things that are a little bit wonky, like mesh, where you have this weird interrupted cut. The step drill handles that really, really well.
Okay, so here we are, our 2 trolleys finished, and yeah, that's job done. So they don't fit under either of these desk or table still, but that's fine. They don't have to fit under these tables. There's a little bit of a gap there. My new desk will be coming. It's going to be slightly higher. It should actually be just about in line with that kind of cross piece there. So it should fit under that new desk that's coming. That's going to fill this entire gap. And yeah, that'll be it. So that's the first little bit of IKEA hacking, I suppose, done. Next part, new desk with some legs, and need to cut that to length. And then I do want this table and the new desk to be the same height, so I need to make some little spacers to lift this table up a little bit. But yeah, that's it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed. This is a useful little hack, I think. Very simple, basic tools. You can get this thing done, and yeah, makes these little trolleys a hell of a lot more usable. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.